My name is Jessica and welcome to Makeup Misfit. And I apologize for the ring light reflection in my glasses. I hope it's not too distracting. It is driving me nuts right now. But I was doing some running around this morning. It started to rain. When I got home, it was absolutely pouring. Hence why my hair looks a little crazy because it got wet. And when it air dries, it does its own thing. So it's finally stopped or at least settled down a little bit out there, but it's still too dim to film without my ring light. So I have that plus my living room light on. So I hope the reflection's not too much. But unfortunately, we're just gonna have to push through it because I'm going to be filming a few videos today. I'm leaving tomorrow for a couple of days. The day you see this, the next day is when I will be coming home. I'm only going for like 3 days, not very long at all, but I wanted to get those videos filmed and posted for you guys so that I would not be missing these updates this month. So unfortunately, today's the only day I can do that. Now, with that, we have today's update, which is my Pan That palette. This is the Pantastic Ladies version. The theme is fun size, and I've been working on the Lorac Mini Pro palette in Winter Rose. Now, in my intro, I did say that I was really hoping to have completely finished off this palette by this time. I said I'd be okay if I didn't, and that's where I'm at. I have not completely finished this off yet, and I am still okay with that. I am more than okay with just letting this hang around for the rest of the year, working on this at my own pace, which is how I've been doing this for the last little while. Back in January, I went hard on this palette and had some really good progress. And unfortunately, I haven't been able to keep that up, but I have been working on quite a few eyeshadows this year. And in one of my last videos, I had mentioned that I was slightly getting a little bit overwhelmed. So taking my time, working at my own pace, that's okay. This palette is still going to look quite loved by the end of this year. So unfortunately, I don't have the photo that I took of this palette from the last update. I had to delete a bunch of stuff off of my phone to make some space. So that photo had to go. But I am just going to show you guys what it's looking like now. If you do want to see what it looked like last month, go check out last month's update. But this is where we're sitting at. So there have been just very slight changes in this palette. I have not really used this over the last few weeks, but this shade right here I want to talk about first because I have repressed this one once again. It was getting very difficult for my brush to get around the edges of the pan. So I decided to repress it the other day. Haven't used it since I repressed it. But this is the palette that I'm going to be taking with me on my little trip. So it's going to get some love, a little bit of love. I probably won't be wearing too much makeup. I'm getting a lash lift on the day I come home. So there is going to be a couple days where I'm not going to be able to wear eye makeup. I think it's like 48 hours or something. But regardless, that's okay. So this shade I think is definitely going to be the first to go, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that's gonna happen really fast. I'm thinking if I focus on this palette for the first couple weeks, or as much as I can for the first couple of weeks of this next month, then I can get this shade out. Now, this shade right here, it's definitely making a little bit of progress. I don't remember what it quite looked like last month, and I don't think I've really been reaching for it, maybe the odd time, so I don't think there's any progress that has been, like, it's been made, but it doesn't show it. So this is one that I want to start focusing on a little more as well. And then this matte shade right here, if you take a look, you can see that there's been a little bit of progress. This darker edge around the pan that is showing is where the shadow was last month. So we definitely have been making very little progress, but still progress nonetheless, which I'm happy about. And I'm thinking that if I'm focusing on this, which is kind of what my plan is, hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more progress next month. Now, this shade right here I want to chat about, and I don't think you guys can see it from this angle. So let's see if I do this. Yeah, you can see it a little bit more. Right here, there's definitely a dip forming, and I'm hoping that I can have pan in this one by the next update as well. These four shades are kind of what my focus is for this palette currently. I'm not too concerned about these shades. We'll chat about those in just a second, but these are the four shades that I want to completely finish off by the end of this year. And I'm thinking I could probably do that. I think that it's going to be easy to at least get these shimmers out because they're shimmers, so of course it makes it easier. But I'm thinking that these two mattes I can definitely make some good progress on. And even if I just use them as my transition shade in almost any look that I can do it with, then I will definitely be able to make the progress that I'm hoping to make on those shades throughout the rest of the year. Now I'm going to hold this way again. This shade right here, you definitely can see a dip forming in that one. And I've used it maybe just a time or two more than this darker matte shade. Now, of course, because it's a shimmer, you're going to be able to see the progress a lot more than you are in the matte. However, I'm not really going to be focusing on these two too much right now. I think I'm just going to, if I want to reach for them, I definitely can. I'm not going to like force myself to use them or force myself to not use them. But I'm thinking I'm going to be focusing on them and just gravitating towards them more towards the end of the year, fall time, winter time. Not that I want to think about that right now. I would like to enjoy summer. But I'm thinking that that's when this is going to happen. Now, I do think I'll hit pan in this probably around fall time since there is a dip already started. Now, this matte shade right here, I mentioned it in the beginning. This was going to be the very last shade I even hit pan in, which is still going to happen that way. And what I'm thinking at the moment is as long as these 4 shades are completely finished off at the end of the year, I'm going to be happy. This one will for sure have pan in it as well. So if I can hit pan in this shade by the end of this year, I will consider this palette complete. I am not going to force myself to completely finish it off. Now I did swatch it because I wanted to see how dark it actually was, and it's not that bad, but I just don't think it's something that I'm really going to be reaching for right now, especially when I do have a couple of other browns that I'm working on, and I would just kind of rather focus on those ones at the moment. If I can hit pan in here, have pan in here, completely finish off these 4 shades, I will be happy and I will consider this palette completely finished off for this year, goal met, all of that good stuff. What happens with those shades afterwards, I will worry about later towards the end of this year. I'm not going to think about that quite yet. I'm not necessarily going to get rid of this palette, but we'll decide. I'll decide later on in this year what I want to do. So my goal for this next month is to completely finish off this shade, make some more progress in these 2, and hopefully hit pan in this one. And that is all that I'm really wanting to focus on for this palette right now. I do take this with me to work, but sometimes I don't end up reaching for it. More often I don't end up reaching for it, but it is nice. I like this. I like this fun size theme. I know I mentioned it in my intro, but I'll just kind of like say it again real quick. I like this fun size theme because it is very small, and this was a palette that I wanted to pan when I bought it. I knew like that was kind of the purpose of why I bought it, because I knew I would have a fun time with it. I knew it would be kind of easy. Now, I don't necessarily buy makeup to pan it and completely use it up in that way, but I buy makeup to use it, right? So whether it's in a panning project or on its own, my goal in the end is to finish off as much as I can of my makeup while still having an actual collection, because like I just love having my makeup. I never plan on having a small collection. If one day it happens, but currently that's not what my goal is, and that's fine. But if I'm able to completely finish off products, like I'm not going to take that away from having a larger collection. It's a good thing. That's why I'm doing this panning stuff. But I just like the best of both worlds when it comes to this. So yeah, so I like this for the size. I like that I can throw it into my bag. I like that I can travel with it. You can still get a couple different looks with it because you do have your darker shades, you have your pinks, and you have your lighter browns and your champagne shimmer. So you can still get a decent amount of looks out of this, like, 3-4 looks. What I haven't done is what I was doing in the beginning and using every shade in here in a look. So maybe I will try and do that over the next month once, maybe twice. Because that was a lot of fun, and that's how I got a lot of good use on this palette, was because I was using all 6 shades in just one single look. So I've made about like 4 different looks, but for a tiny little 6 pen palette, I don't think that's too bad. So I'm happy to still work on this. Like I said, I'm more than okay with this hanging around for the rest of the year. It is what it is. I'm excited to just see where this is going to be at the end of this year in the finale, and that is pretty much it. So that's everything for this update. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you guys all tomorrow. Bye.